Hi, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe if you haven't done it yet. Thanks.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. So let's continue our project. Okay, so we would like to create the domain submission form. As you can see, we have a validation. So if the fields required and we haven't typed anything in, then we get an error message, and if we start typing something, then as you can see, our error message is disappearing. And if we resubmit the form, then as you can see, we still get the error messages, but we still have the old typed in value as well. And of course, if we upload any image and we submit the form, the image is still there, and we don't have to select the image again. It still will be uploadable through the form. And if we start typing for another field, as you can see, the error message goes. If we submit it and nothing is typed in, then we get the error message back again. We are not able to select any subcategory at the moment because we haven't selected any category. So the subcategories depend on the main category. We have selected the finance, so we are able to select the related subcategories as well. Art doesn't have any subcategories, but for example YouTube has 5 subcategories as well. Okay, so we will create this entire Vue.js form. So we are using Vue.js, and for this error message handling, we will use some boilerplate files which has been already created, so we don't have to retype it. So if you go to the Google and if you type in Jeffrey Laracast Vue.js, the very first link will be the work by made Jeffrey way. And if you go to the public folder and the JS folder, you will see the app.js, and we need to grab all of these except these last bit of the code. So basically we grab everything from here and paste it in our application. We need to go to the resources, Vue.js, and inside the JS folder we create a new file. Let's call it form.js and paste everything here from that file. Let's save it all, and we need to import that form.js into our main application JS file. In order to do that, we just need to type in import form from, and we pasted this file into the same folder, so form. Okay, and we want to use it anywhere inside our application, so we need to type in window.form, and it's going to be equal to form. Okay, so anytime, anywhere in our application, we can use this form, which is equal to form, which is equal to this, and this one is imported from the form, which can be found here. So that's how we wired into our application. Okay, let's save it. And we got an error message. Okay, as you can see, everything is okay now. So the mistake was that we need ./form. So it's now that we have inside the same folder. Okay, so just make sure you import form from this ./form. And as you can see, everything is okay, complied everything as it should be. Okay, let's jump to the form, but before we start to do that, of course, we are registering a domain here, so we will need some tables to the domain inside our database. So we need to create a migration file, we need to create the model for the domains, and we need to create the controller file for the domain as well. Okay, so let's just start to do this. Let's go inside our application folder, right click, git bash here. And let's make it bigger so you can read it. Okay, so in order to do that, we need to create a new model. So PHP artisan make model, and let's call it domain. And we want the migration file, the controller file, migration file, controller file, and we want the resources inside the controller file. Let's hit enter, and it should be set it up for you. Okay, so it's all done now. So if we go into the database folder, migrations, we can see we have a create domains migration file now. So let's populate this. I think I will be copy and paste from the done project, so we can speed this tutorial up. Right, so just let me find this file in my computer. Okay, so let's just copy and paste it. Okay, so of course we got an ID for this domains table, and we want to connect the domains to the categories and subcategories. So this is the connection between them. So we need to create a category underscore ID and subcategory underscore ID, which could be nullable. So for example, if the category hasn't got any subcategories, we don't need to select it. It could be nullable. Okay, so the domain has a title, which could be up to 60 characters. And the domain has URL and a short description up to 150 characters, and a long description which is also could be nullable. So if you want only give a short description, but you don't wanna give any longer description, then you can do that. And we have an image, so we can save the image file name as well related to this domain. And we need an email address field, and we need, well, of course, we don't need this published. If a user pays for the submission, then it will be true, but for now we will create a field boolean paid, and the default value will be false. So at the moment none of them will be displayed on the main page. And we need to tell to the database that we are using this key fields. So category ID is a foreign key, so the database will create this connection as well. So the category ID is referencing on the categories table and refers to the ID. So this category ID should be matched to this ID inside the categories table. Same with subcategories. Subcategories ID is referencing on subcategories table, and these two should match to create the connection, to create the relationship between them. Okay, let's save it. And now we need to migrate this file into our database. So at the moment we hasn't got any domain field, domain table, but in a few seconds we should see. Okay, so we are inside our application folder, and let's just type in PHP artisan migrate, and our domains table are created. Let's just check it, hit refresh. And as you can see, we have domains, and we got all these tables. We have just created title, URL, short description, long description, image, email, paid, created it, updated it. Okay, so that part is okay. So let's just continue with the form. So as I mentioned, it's a Vue.js form, but of course we need to point to that URL first. So let's just create a view for that. Okay, so in order to do that, we need to create a file inside our views folder. And let's create a new folder inside the views. Let's call it domain. Hit enter, and inside that domain folder we create a new file called create.blade.php. Okay, so inside this folder we will extend our layout application. So we extend our layouts.app, and we want to display our creation form inside the content section. So just like this. Okay, and inside this section we need a container, and inside this container we need a row. So let's create one more div with width 100, and let's just add our title, and let's make the class text center. So we want to place our main title inside that. So just let me copy and paste it instead of typing out. And under this row we want to display our domain register component, which is not created yet. So let's just create our Vue.js component, which will be displayed here. But at the moment, if we save this, we want to point to this. We need to create the route file for that. So as you can see, inside the app HTTP controllers we got domain controller, and we have index and create. So let's just return this newly created view. So return, and we created a domain folder, and inside the domain folder we want to point to the create file. Okay, and let's go to the routes folder, and web.php. Let's copy and paste it, and let's make it domain, and let's make it domain controller. Save this, and now if we going to our application and hit refresh, of course we need to create the href link as well. So let's go to the welcome.play.php, and we want to submit our domain here. So let's just go to domain. First of all, we need to create this route, and we want to go to domain.create, and we save it, hit refresh. Okay, something is not right. URL not route not defined. Route not defined. And why is that? Okay, so I got a typo here. So it's domain. Let's save this and check this out again. Okay, it looks like working now. Let's click on it. And as you can see, we got this H1, and now we want to create this Vue.js component as well. So let's go inside our resources.js folder and components folder. Inside the components, we create a new file. Let's call it domain register component.vue, and let's just create the basic template for that. Right, okay, so this is the basic boilerplate to create a Vue.js component. So let's just create our form inside this template. Okay, so we have a selection form here. We need to create a category selection input field here. So let's create a div dot class of form group. Name doesn't really matter because we will pass our data through Vue.js form. So we will use V model to pass our data to the controller. So basically we can delete this name attribute. So let's just create all the other things as well. And let's back how we paste our categories inside this options field. So we need to create another selection form for subcategories. Okay, we need an email address input as well. Okay, we need one more field for the domain URL. Okay, so we will have a file input field as well. We need an ID for this field, for this input field, and let's call it img. Okay, so let's just create the short description input field as well. It's gonna be a text input. Okay, so let's create an input field for this short description. Okay, and we need to create a submit button. So let's just create a simple button. And let's make the class is btn These are bootstrap classes. Success, so make it green. And the type is submit. And let's call it submit your domain. Okay, let's just save it for now. And let's wire into our application. So we need to go to the app.js. And instead of this Vue component, we will create our, which is a domain register. And we want to grab the domain register component. So that's what we just created. Domain register component. Let's save it. Okay, and let's jump to the so we need to referring to this domain register. And I already have a typo here, of course. Register. So we can create the component here, and if we save it, and let's go into our application, hit refresh. As you can see, we have the fields already working, but of course we need to wire it into our Vue.js component. So let's just work on it a bit. But before we do that, let's see what's happening here, because it should be same as the main category selection. So if you are going back to the Vue.js component, yeah, we forget to give a class form control to it. Okay, so it should be working now. Let's save it and hit refresh. Yeah, of course we can't select anything at the moment, but later on should be okay. So we'll create everything wired into our application in the next video, which is coming out today. Thanks for watching, please subscribe and bye.